Hello and welcome back to If Ash Was Like Paul. So May would still meet Drew like normal, and she would still lose her contest with her Beautifly, and Magma would still make it one step closer to their goal. And now to get into the episode where Ash battles Watson. So because Ash was not an electric type Pokemon, it wouldn't really be affected by the Raikou using its electric types, as it wouldn't be supercharged by the electric Raikou, and Ash's Pokemon would instead be normal, and since he doesn't have an electric type, he would just use Growlithe to easily defeat the electric Raikou and calm it down, and it wouldn't supercharge any of his Pokemon since they're not electric types. So Ash would use Mightyena against Magnemite, as then Mightyena would use Crunch on Magnemite, as then Magnemite would respond with a Thunderbolt, and Mightyena would then use a Snarl on Magnemite, which would lower its special attack, as then use a Magnet Bomb on Mightyena. Mightyena would then use a Crunch again, which would actually lower its attack, as then Magnemite would launch a much weaker Thunderbolt, which would easily be dodged by Mightyena, as then Mightyena responded with a Crunch, which would knock it out. As then Watson would go on to send out his Voltorb. Voltorb would use Rollout on Poochyena, and Poochyena responded with a Crunch, which would knock back Voltorb for a lot of damage. As Voltorb would then use a Thunder on Poochyena. Poochyena would then use a Crunch, which would knock out Voltorb. This would then cause Poochyena to evolve into Mightyena as grand size. As now Watson would send out Magneton, as Magneton would dodge the Zap Cannon, and Mightyena would respond with a new move it learned, which replaced Snarl, which was Dark Pulse, which would knock back Magneton for a lot of damage, as would flinch Magneton, as would then use Crunch on Magneton, as then Magneton would cut and Mightyena would go back into their normal battle positions, and Magneton would hit Mightyena with a Thunder, as now Mightyena was knocked back and would respond with a Dark Pulse, and Magneton would also respond with a Zap Cannon, be a clash between the two powerful special moves. Mightyena would put even more of its Dark type energy into the move, same with Magnemite with its electric type energy, as eventually Dark Pulse would overpower the Zap Cannon and Ash would win. As Mightyena and Ash would celebrate with Mightyena licking its trainer and celebrating with its trainer, Ash would then return Mightyena after they had a nice celebration, as then Watson would give Ash the badge and say that he did well, as now the battle of the Windstreet family would pretty much go the same. And now, since Jessie isn't around, as she isn't following Ash with Pikachu along with her other Team Rocket members, May would get Kitty a lot easier, and May would still perform decently in her contests and win. And now for the events of this episode, things actually change. Well, the rest of the episode will actually go the same, but when Ash, May and Max are being chased by the Slugma in the fiery path, Ash would actually catch one before anyone says that Mercargo and Slugma are not suited for an Ash who's like Paul, who wants strong Pokemon, and that Ash should have got like a Blaziken or something. Let me just say, I don't think Ash should get another starter other than the two he already has, and also I'd rather have Ash have a Magcargo than a Torkoal, because even though Magcargo kind of is very bad as a Pokemon, Torkoal was is actually a good Pokemon, or a decent Pokemon, but in the anime it was very weak and laughably so, and it couldn't really do much. So I think it would be kind of a twist that a bad Pokemon is actually decent on Ash's team, and a good Pokemon was actually bad in the original timeline. And also I prefer Magcargo's design to Torkoal, as it looks a lot cooler. Anyway, let's just go ahead with the story. Team Magma and Team Aqua would still battle each other, and it would go the same. As now it's time for the events of the gym battle against Flannery. Flannery would use Slugma as Ash would use Celio. Celio would easily defeat Flannery's Slugma with a Hydro Pump. So then she would send out her Magcargo, as would then use a Sunny Day, as Celio would use a Hydro Pump. This would actually do a lot more than Magcargo let on, as the Magcargo would easily do a lot of damage to Celio with a Flamethrower. Celio would try to get up, but would be finished off with another Flamethrower, as Ash would then use his Slugma against Magcargo, and as it's in its debut battle, it would then use a Flamethrower, which would actually knock out the Magcargo, as it had taken a lot more damage than it let on with Celio's Hydro Pump, and the Flamethrower was boosted by the Sunny Day. But when Torkoal came out, the Sunny Day had served all of its turns, and Torkoal would use a Sunny Day, as it was then hit by a Flamethrower, which would do a lot of damage to Torkoal. Torkoal would then respond with an Overheat, which would leave someone on the brink of fainting, as someone would be finished off with a Body Slam. Ash would then send out Taylor, and Taylor would use an Aerial Ace on Torkoal. Torkoal would then use a Body Slam and crush Taylor. Taylor would be paralyzed, as it will continuously be crushed by Torkoal, as Torkoal would begin using a Flamethrower on top of it. As it approached closer and closer to Taylor, Taylor would evolve into Swallow and knock it over, as the electric energy around Swallow would push Torkoal above and away from it, as then Swallow would emerge fully encased in the electricity, and its eyes would glow as Guts was activated, as then it would use Aerial Ace on Torkoal, as then Torkoal would use a Flamethrower on Swallow, which would easily be avoided by it. So would then use an Air Slash on Torkoal, as it would then finish off Torkoal with a Quick Attack, as Flannery would then congratulate Ash on Swallow's evolution and how well he did, and she would then give him the badge, as the events of the trainer dressed up the coordinator dressed up like a Dusclops go the same, as May would still beat him. And in this timeline, May's gonna catch the Swablu, as I think that Swablu would really go well with May after how she looked after it and helped it around. As now it's time for the events of the episode against Exploud. Still wouldn't really understand what Guy was going through, but he would still decide to help him. Ash would use Slugma against Guy's Loudred. Loudred would use Earthquake, but Slugma would easily avoid it and respond with a Flamethrower, which do a lot of damage. Guy would then use his Loudred would use his Tomp on Slugma, which would do a lot of damage, as Guy would stand there, as Slugma was just, as Loudred was just doing its own thing, as it wasn't really listening to him. So Ash would then call for an Ancient Power to do a decent chunk of damage to Loudred, as it would raise all of Slugma's stats, as then there'd be a clash between Hyper Voice from Exploud and Flamethrower from Slugma. Both moves would collide, but the clash would get so intense that both Pokemon would evolve into Magcargo and Exploud respectively, and both moves would get stronger. The clashes were going for a long time, but eventually Slugma's Flamethrower would overwhelm Exploud, as Exploud was knocked out by Magcargo, as Magcargo would celebrate with Ash about its evolution and defeating Exploud. But Exploud would get up and would smile at Guy, and in Pokemon Talk apologise for not listening to him, as he had just been humbled by Magcargo. Guy would smile, somehow understanding what Exploud was saying as their bond was so strong, and returning. As now for the events of the episode where May meets Bulbasaur, as it would still go like normal, and May would still lose the contest with Bulbasaur, as Bulbasaur wasn't really adapted to the modern world and didn't really have confidence, but Ash and Venusaur would eventually help Bulbasaur adapt to the modern world. And now, the event of the Poké-Ringer. Since Taylor had already evolved into Swallow, Swallow would easily defeat all of the competitors even more easy and win much quicker and easier. And the events of the episode were Torchic evolves would pretty much go the same, as Combusken would still have to beef with all the Breloom. The Breloom is normal, and it would still get resolved as normal. As now, Team Aqua would still fail to catch the cast form. Team Aqua, yeah, pretty sure said that. But anyway, now for the events of the gym battle against Winona. She would use her Altaria against Ash's Mightyena. Mightyena would then use Crunch on Altaria, and Altaria would then be knocked back, as would then use Moonblast, as it would charge up the Moonblast and launch it. But Mightyena would easily avoid the super effective move, as it would then use Dark Pulse on Altaria, which would knock it back and flinch it, as Mightyena would then use a Crunch to knock out Altaria, as we then jump back into position, and Winona would then send out her Pelipper. Pelipper would then use Hydro Pump, which would easily be avoided by Mightyena, as Mightyena would jump back into position, and Pelipper would go for a Wing Attack, but would be stopped by Mightyena's Dark Pulses. It would be knocked back, but this would give Pelipper the perfect opening for a Hydro Pump, which would knock back Mightyena for a lot of damage, as Pelipper would finish off Mightyena with a Ice Beam, which would freeze and knock out Mightyena, as Ash would then send out his Grovyle, and Grovyle would use a Magical Leaf on Pelipper, which would do decent damage as Pelipper would respond with an Ice Beam, which would be cut right through with Grovyle's Leaf Blade, which would also cut right through Pelipper, which would do a lot of damage and knock out Pelipper. This would be a critical hit, as Ash would jump back into position, as Winona would send out a Swallow, as Ash would use a quick attack on Swallow, as Swallow would respond with an Aerial Ace, which would do a lot of damage, as Ash would then respond with a Leaf Blade, which would knock Swallow back, and Swallow would then respond with a Hyper Beam, which would leave Grovyle badly damaged. This would knock Grovyle into Overgrow range, as it would awaken its Overgrow ability, as Sceptile/Grovyle has been shown in the anime to be able to activate this ability quite frequently, so I'm gonna put it in this what if. So we then use Leaf Blade, which would do a lot of damage to Swallow, as we then use a Magical Leaf, which would also do a lot of damage to Swallow, which would knock back Swallow, as Swallow would then respond with an Aerial Ace, as Ash will clash the Aerial Ace with two Leaf Blades, which would cause a clash. Grovyle and Swallow will both put their all into both of their attacks respectively. They will put their all, and Grovyle will put all of the energy that it had into his leaf blades, as eventually Grover would overwhelm Swallow and defeat it. This would cause Grover to evolve, as the battle was so intense as it would grow in size as its leaf blades would kind of fuse together, as its two leaves would grow into a tree for a tail, as its massive long leaf from its head would go back into its body as it would evolve into Sceptile, as Sceptile would turn back at its trainer and would smile smugly at Ash, as Ash would be happy that Sceptile evolved, as he would then return it, as an owner would then give Ash the badge and say that he had done well, that he truly was a strong trainer. She would then give him the directions to the next gym battle / gym. As now I think this is the perfect time to finish off this part. I really enjoyed making this part and it was super fun coming up with the idea to give Ash a Slugma, and I really like the concept of it. Of instead giving Ash a usually weak fire type that turns out to be strong, rather than a usually strong fire type that turns out to be weak in Torkoal. And I also enjoyed evolving Sceptile. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye.